topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
This is Beyond Confidence with your host, Divya Parekh. Do you want to live a more fulfilling life? Do you want to live your legacy and achieve your personal, professional, and financial goals? Well, coming up on Divya Parekh's Beyond Confidence, you will hear real stories of leaders, entrepreneurs, and achievers who have stepped into discomfort, shattered their status quo, and are living the life they want. You will learn how relationships are the key to achieving your aspirations and financial goals. Moving your career or business forward does not have to happen at the expense of your personal or family life, or vice versa. Learn more at www.divyaparekh.com, and you can connect with Divya at contact@divyaparekh.com. This is Beyond Confidence, and now here's your host, Divya Parekh.
Good morning, listeners. It's Tuesday, and of course, as always, it's a joy to be with you. And with everything happening in the world, people are hurting, people are experiencing challenges, and yet the joy of being alive is always there. And how can we bring that joy back in, even in the midst of hardest times? So one of the things that is going on is the artificial intelligence, where it is, on one hand, leveling the playing field where people can do so many things that they were not able to do before. And on the other hand, it's a harsh reality that jobs are being gone, even though we are not seeing it completely right now, but there are massive layoffs happening. So when people are going for interview, what separates them from the other people who have their answers from AI? So the key is as to how they are thinking. It is separating the strategic thinkers from just AI generated answers. And if you are looking to do that, or even if you're looking to grow in your profession, or if you're an entrepreneur, how do you go out there and stand out, not in the social media noise, but not also in the digital footprint, but in the era of AI? Get our book, The AI Agency, and of course there are other books. Thank you for getting our books, because part of the partial proceeds go to kiva.org. And let's talk about bringing that joy in amidst all the fears that exist. Welcome, Eddie.
Thank you for having me, Divya. Glad to be here.
Well, it's great to have you. So, Eddie, do you recall a moment where in your early life or later, somebody or some situation left a positive mark on you?
Oh, there are so many, but let's start on the early part. So when I was in high school, I read a book about Mother Teresa, and she left a big mark on my heart. And I thought she was the coolest person. She got a calling, and that's what she wanted to do in her life, and she did it. So that's why I thought she was the coolest person. Despite all odds, she accomplished so much. And so I decided I wanted to meet her. And I was able to meet her at meet and greet while she was visiting Japan. I'm originally from Japan, but I really wanted to go where she actually does what she does. So after college, I flew to India and volunteered at Home for Dying Destitute in Calcutta. And I volunteered there, and I was able to meet her again, chatted a little bit, shook hands. So I was really happy being able to be in her presence and joyful presence despite all the hard work she does. But on the other hand, I saw many other volunteers who are healthcare professionals starting an IV, dressing the wound, I had no medical training at that point. So I was only feed the people or put a powder on the patients after their bath. That was all I could do. So I said, someday, if I were to come back or do something like this, I really need more training. And that's the beginning of my healthcare career.
And Japan. People have such a fascination for Japan because there's so many Ikigai and, those philosophical principles that have been gifted to the world
Yes.
from culture of Japan.
Mhm.
So what are a couple of things that you carried with yourself from Japan?
So it's funny you mentioned Ikigai right off the bat, because that's one of my guiding principle. So Ikigai, when I was in Japan, I simply thought of that as life's purpose. But as it was introduced to the world, people in the English-speaking world started to understand Ikigai, which is the intersection of what you love, what you're good at, and what the world needs, and what can sustain you, meaning you can have income from that. And, after I struggled a little bit after I left the healthcare system and became an entrepreneur, gallery owner, artist, I found Ikigai all over again. Healthcare was my Ikigai at the beginning after Mother Teresa and working as a nurse practitioner for almost 30 years. But then that changed over time. And now, as an artist, having my own gallery, doing what I love to do every day, and people love it, and I can make a living doing it. So it's so joyful. It's Ikigai every single day. I'm living my Ikigai. So I think that is a gift from Japan, the concept to the world.
Absolutely. And there are other concepts like from Lean Six Sigma that I have used, Kanban and Kaizen. And it's just, I'm definitely a fan of a lot of the principles from Japan. So you mentioned that Mother Teresa's joyful presence. So what can you share a couple of things about her? Like, what did you experience with her? What did you take away from your meetings with her?
Yes, she is a tiny little person, but I kind of have a image that like an energizer bunny. So I have this kind of long lasting battery, and she's running around this little home for dying destitute, this way, that way. But, but she has the presence. She talks to each patient, each volunteer, and she has the presence full of love, care for every single person, and also joyful. And she jokes around. She's laughing in this little temple full of dying people. So, but it's a very solemn and serious place on one hand, but on the other hand, the people who are working there seems to be content, loving what they're doing, helping everybody. And so she's leading this, and she's taking care of patients, touching everybody. But on the other hand, I see her in the distance one time, and she's walking with a nice gentleman. And somebody whispered to me, "You know who that is, that gentleman? He's the prime minister from France." So she's so humble and so unassuming, but she is talking to, she's a friend with Princess Diana or the royalties and all the, the head of the states. And so she just handles it beautifully without any ego, any self-consciousness. She does what she does step by step. And also I went to the mass at the Missionaries of Charity, and I thought she would be presiding over the whole thing. But then no, she came a little bit late, and she sat in the very back, very quiet, and nobody would have noticed her. Only because I was looking for, where is she? So she's very humble, yet she's huge in that little tiny body, but just she's have this quiet smile and just feel the energy, the aura, the love. So she's amazing. And I was so, so lucky to have been able to talk to her and shook hands. And I remember she had the softest hand. I was expecting really rough, calloused hand with all the things she does, but she got the softest, warmest hand. I never forget that. I was only 18 or so when that happened.
Well, what a blessing. And you mentioned that you were in the healthcare because she inspired you to go and help people.
Mm-hmm.
So, what was your journey like as a nurse practitioner?
So after I volunteered at the Mother Teresa's Home for Dying Institute, I thought I needed to do something. And I also needed to learn English better. So I came to the US and enrolled in English as a second language. Then I started to do nurse's aid, licensed vocational nursing, LVN, and RN, and master's degree in nurse practitioner. It's a lot, it's always like this in my life. Something I need to do, it unfolds itself. Somebody will tell me, because I didn't know anything about LVN or nurse practitioner. But when it's time, somebody will tell me, oh, there's another program you might be good for you. And I go there and do it. And then after I got my RN, somebody tell me, oh, there's such thing as nurse practitioner you might be interested in. Okay, I look into it and I did it. So over 8 years, I'm going to school. I'm working in the evening at the hospital. So I did both for about 8 years until I got my master's degree for nurse practitioner. And I loved taking care of patients. I loved working in a hospital. So I felt like, yeah, I did it. I'm working on my mission like Mother Teresa. So I really loved the interaction with the patients every day. And then after I finished working at the floor nursing, I became a nurse practitioner, had my own office. I had a corner office, beautiful corner office. I was able to schedule my patients the way I like it. So I had an ideal setting. My husband is a physician, and he's always jealous of my position. Like, you're working, at your own pace, and you have weekends off, and evening it's off, and holidays off, and I'm working evenings and on calls. So he was always jealous of me. But over time, I was in healthcare for almost 30 years, and over time, the computer came in. You mentioned AI. The computer came in, and we have to do more and more documentation in the computer. And there's more regulation, more insurance, more restrictions. And really, we were not able to, as a healthcare providers, we were not able to practice medicine as the way we used to. Patient was not the center anymore. It was about liability, productivities, and documentation. It became a center stage, not patients. So it wasn't just me, but a lot of healthcare professionals, clinicians started to get more stressed out, burned out, depressed. And I saw that in so many of my colleagues. And that's when I got involved into National Academy of Medicine Clinician Wellbeing Committee. And so because it became a national issue and more clinicians are committing suicide, depressed, having PTSD. So it was a serious problem. This is even before COVID. And this started in 1917 or 18. Oh, 2018, I'm sorry. And so I wanted to be part of it. And luckily, I started to painting in about 2008. So I already had 10 years of art education. And when the National Academy of Medicine called for artistic representation of clinician well-being and burnout, I had a whole body of work depicting healthcare professionals, good days and bad days. I submitted several of them, and they picked one of my portraits of my husband, kind of looking depressed, as kind of a poster boy for depression and a clinical clinician's burnout. So that's how I got involved in this kind of prevention of burnout, using art as a healing tool, movement. So that's kind of I started to use art for healing purposes. So
Yeah,
when
no,
go ahead.
that is really, really alarming to hear that clinicians were committing suicide, and because that patient care not being the center, takes away from the purpose of the clinicians, what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I can definitely say that for some of the physicians that I've been with, they've still maintained, even though they have to record everything and as things are emerging, but
Mm-hmm.
having that piece of humanity. But I can definitely see why it caused a burnout. So since you mentioned that art therapy was coming into with the clinicians as well, so tell us how it has grown.
Mm-hmm. So the first encounter was one of my husband's portrait,
Mm-hmm.
kind of looking depressed. It's called At the End of the Day. So he's holding his head, the face is half in shadow. And then first my husband did not like that, because why do you paint me like that? But then as I have it in my studio, and I put it on my Facebook and so on, and so many people resonated with that painting. And it wasn't only healthcare professionals, but people who are maybe IT, could be teachers, could be anybody. But people have this bad day. At the end of the day, you're so exhausted, you don't even want to communicate. You can only hold your heads and take a deep breath. So many people resonated with that painting. And so that means that painting does have to be necessarily this beautiful, pretty, colorful thing, but just depicting the reality with the emotion, strong emotion, people can connect. And because my husband, at the beginning he didn't like it, but he got so many good comments about it. Oh, I love your painting. This is so much. I can totally relate. And now he loves the painting. And so I think that kind of depiction will tell people you're not alone in this. You're not the only person who are exhausted, depressed, stressed out, burned out. So something kind of representing somebody's emotion, I think that's one of the elements of healing art. At least that's
Yeah,
one part of it.
yeah, and that makes sense because what happens is on social media, people are putting their best pictures.
Right.
You see people even in hospitals, they have a smile on their face, and that shows that they're brave. But you don't see many pictures where people are posting their pictures as reality, that hey, I'm
Mm-hmm.
feeling this. Or so tell us, how can our listeners and audience can take that art therapy and bring it into their lives?
So there are, quite a few research done since then over the last 10, maybe even 20 years about art therapy and how much art has the power of healing. And either you're going to be the artist, creator, or just receiving and you're just viewing art. Either way, that seems to have a huge impact physiologically, emotionally, psychologically. So part of the let's say, so if you're cancer patients and try on art therapy, so part of the things, they'll usually provide, each hospital clinics will have art therapists, the bigger hospital would have art therapists and classes. So they'll teach you some easy way to start art. And then number one, so you will learn something new. It's kind of a diversion, distraction from something that stress you out. But also it's kind of fun. It's kind of make you do certain things, and that can be meditative, that again take your mind off of something else that stresses you. And it's fun. You're doing with a bunch of other people, and that's kind of fun. It's a community working on something similar. And also just using some kind of physical, using your hands, that's kind of fun. but also just that the process of creating using different parts of the brain. From you might be in a rut thinking about what's going to happen to me, thinking about their health, but also use totally different parts of the brain, being creative, doing something new. So that'll kind of start to create a new path in your brain. And so the research would show, it will lower your blood pressure, lower your breathing rate, and decrease cortisol, increase the well-being, sense of well-being, the sense of community, and also you're expressing yourself in the way you could not before. And many people have problem describing or expressing verbally, but they can do it the way they like it, with the color, the shape, or the strength of the lines they draw, so they can express it something they could not express before. So there are so many different benefits. So I think people may want to give it a shot. I do teach art classes locally, mostly for beginners. And most of the people come in, oh, such a bad artist. I can only draw a stick figure. I cannot even draw a stick figure. And I said, don't worry about it. Maybe somewhere in the past, somebody told you your art is not good enough. But forget that. It's not for your teacher. It's not for any audience. It's for you to have fun. So I do like a coffee painting workshop. Only thing you use is coffee. You can drink coffee, but you can dip your clean brush into the coffee, and then start drawing on a piece of paper. And you might glue your crystal instant coffee or coffee beans on it and make beautiful art. And it's all abstract. When I first start teaching them, I do abstract. So there's no wrong picture. There's no wrong answer. Everything is a masterpiece. Just give it a shot, however you like it. And people have fun because, nobody's watching there. Nobody's judging you good or bad. So they should express it. Even some people who had, oh, I'm a bad artist. No, they make beautiful art. They're proud of it. So just do something fun. And it doesn't have to be visual art. Many people come into my gallery like, oh, I'm not an artist. I wish I could do something like you do. Like, no, I know you're an artist. You just don't know it. You're not admitting it. Or it's just a totally different outlet. I'm sure you're a better cook than I am. Or you're a better gardener than I am. Or maybe you're a musician, you sing, dance, whatever, poetry, blogger, whatever, you can write better. So you are an artist, you just don't know that. It took me many, many years before I can admit and call myself an artist. So I just encourage everybody to pick up something that you think you enjoy. What did you enjoy when you were 5 years old? Did you like to draw? Did you like to dance? Go back and start doing it. It's fun. Like, as they say, dance like nobody's watching or sing like nobody's listening. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing, Eddie, is that find an outlet for expression, and then all that pent up energy, all of that. So what you're doing is that things that are just weighing heavily on your mind, and the weight of emotions that you're carrying. And when you find that art, you're letting it out, and you are expressing, and you are making use of all the other parts. And especially like if you're doing art, like you are using all the senses. If you think about it, it's touch, maybe not smell, but you're using multiple of your sensory organs, and that can create such a rich experience, and that you can carry, because as you're sharing, that it doesn't have to be just one thing, whatever speaks to you. So tell us about your journey. Like you mentioned that you have created Otter series. So tell us how that evolved from the portrait of your husband.
Let's see. So I was in healthcare and started to feel a little burnout, and that's when the art came into my life. So I really started. At first, it was just a personal enrichment or hobby, but the more I find out about the healing power of art, I really got into it. Then decreased the hours at the hospital from full time to part time, and used 3 days weekend to do more art. And so that was my way of work-life balance. And then one day, hospital asked me, we really want you back to full time. And because we value your work, and we talked about this before, and you didn't want it, but this time you better go back to full time because otherwise we're going to eliminate your part-time position. So I thought, oh, that's an interesting way to approach it. And but if you put it that way, even though I'm gonna lose my insurance, income, benefits, all that, but I'd rather be free. I'd rather go into art and do my own thing. So I'm going to resign from the hospital position. So it was scary, and it was a big leap, but I needed it. So here I am. I know nothing about business, nothing about sales or marketing. So about 2-3 years, that was sort of the dark night of the soul. I'm trying to, make a living as an artist, and didn't know anything about selling, business. But at the same time, I was learning like crazy. I'm investing. I use my saving to invest in myself, in education, new kind of education, in coaching, learning business, marketing, mindset shift. That was big. Mindset shift that, I don't have to be a starving artist. I can be a profitable, thriving artist. So that was about 2-3 years of incubation period. And at the end, I got two things. Another wise artist told me, if you want to make a living as an artist in this area, Monterey Carmel area, we're famous for our beautiful coastline, and also forest, and so landscape sales, seascape sales, but also sea otter sales. So I thought, well, I've done landscapes and seascapes, and they're nice, but they're not my passion. So I give sea otter a shot, see what happens. So I painted a few sea otters. People loved it, sold quickly. And then by chance, again, this is my life story. At the right time, some right person will come and give me the right path. And a sea otter researcher contacted me by email. I love your otter. I bought your otter in the past. And now I want you to paint the scream. Edward Munch's, over here, scream painting, and put otter face instead of human face, because I'm a sea otter researcher. So I thought, that's a great idea. I'd love to do that. And I painted Otter Scream. She loved it. I loved it. And I also have an art business coach at the time. And he was kind of frustrated because I could not find a niche. And so at this particular meeting, he said, so what's going on? And do you have any traction with something? So I say, yeah, sea otters is picking up, and I sold some, and I got this awesome commission to do this otter screen, and he loved the idea too. So, and then we had this amazing brainstorm session. Oh yeah, you can do Mona Lisa, we can do Girl with the Pearl Earring, we can do American Gothic, we can do Van Gogh, we can do Picasso, we can do da-da-da-da-da-da. So I had a great time. And then I got to work, and I painted maybe about 10 otters, Girl with the Pearl Earring, the Van Gogh, the Mona Lisa behind me, if people can see it. So, and then that's about the same time I opened my own gallery, 2024 in spring. And I put some otters in the front windows. And as soon as I open my gallery, people start to come in. Or even if they don't come in, they're laughing their head off looking at this Scream Otters or Mona Otter. And they're laughing, having a great time. And people who would come in, they want to see more otters. No, what else do you got? And people start to buy otter paintings or prints. And so as soon as I opened the gallery, Otter Therapy, I'll come back to Otter Therapy, but this Otter series became a hit. And so I was able to sustain my, gallery and art career with my otters. And what I did not expect was not only my otters help people smile and laugh, it turned out they are healing as well in some cases. So that was unexpected for me. Yeah. So some people who cannot afford to buy anything, even prints or anything, but I'll give them either business card or postcard, and they'll take them home and put it on the refrigerator or on the wall. And they would come back and tell me or send me an email, your otter, I just look at it every day. That makes me smile. I'm an old lady. I live alone. I'm lonely. But when I look at your otter, it makes me smile. So it kind of keeps me company. So that's one comment that came early on. Another one is another older lady who lives alone, and that she had a surgery, but she already bought maybe 10 of my otters to decorate the wall just because she loved them. And after the surgery, I didn't hear from her for about 3 months. And finally, she contacted me. The surgery didn't go very well. I was in a lot of pain. I was so depressed. But when I look at your others, they make me smile. So it just eased my pain. So made my day. So that's when I realized that my others are healing. So I haven't left the healing serving profession, the mission that I learned from Mother Teresa. So I'm still helping people, serving people with my little Otter therapist out there in the world. So that kind of came full circle into the mission. And so that's why I started to call this Otter Therapy. If you're smiling, it's working. You don't have to buy anything. Just look at the window, have a good laugh, and have a good day. So that's my Otter Therapy.
Oh, that's beautiful. How you transferred your healing energy from nurse practitioner into your paintings, because when you paint, especially like you did not know about this, but now since you know that your otters are healing other people, what has changed for you as you paint more otter paintings?
That's a good question. So I connect with the customers. This is not a typical gallery. There are 70, 80 galleries in Carmel by the Sea. And most of the galleries are commercial gallery, meaning the artist is not there. But I'm here all the time and I'm painting here. So we have a conversation. And a lot of time customer will come in and ask me what otters they want next. So, oh, you otter paint Steph Curry, or you otter paint bridal otter, or you otter paint this and that. So I'm taking notes. I have like 100 more otters to paint at this point. But if people ask me, like multiple people ask me, then there is the need. People want to see certain otters drinking coffee or eating cookies or looking like a little baby shoving the food in the mouth, cute little otters. So people give me different ideas. Their ideal version of the otters they want to see that soothe them, that make them smile. So I'm incorporating a lot of those. So so lots of ideas come from my customers, and it's kind of a collaboration. Yeah.
That is beautiful, Eddie. So, what are some couple of things that you can share with our listeners that they can take it today and bring it in their lives to bring in joy, humor?
So maybe going back to Ikigai. So what you love to do. I'm also a life coach and a wellness coach. And so the coach in me come out when I'm talking to visitors coming here, and I often ask them because they're admiring art. So I often ask them, "Are you an artist? What do you create?" And some of them say yes, and some of them say, "Nah, I'm not an artist." So I try to kind of dig something out of them. So tell me more what you like to do. So I'm trying to get the Ikigai out of them. So what do you like to do? What gives you joy? What kind of activities? Is that the music, gardening? So I think it's good to kind of go back, and you can find how to find Ikigai with those 4 questions. What do you love? What you're good at? And sometimes what you are good at, you may not know. That was one of my problems. I liked art in general, but it only took my husband's insistence for me to go to art school. Just, give you a quick story. I was not really interested in learning art or, becoming an artist. That was not my life plan. But I did a little quick sketch when I was in spring break during college. And then I had it in a pile of paper. And when I got together with my husband, I showed it to my husband. Oh, look, this is what I did when I was vacationing in Paris. Just I was bored because everything was closed on Easter Sunday. Nothing else to do. I just did a little quick sketch. And then I tossed it in the trash. And he said, what are you doing? I said, well, it's just an old piece of paper. I'm tossing it. I'm cleaning things up. And my husband said, that's amazing art. You cannot throw it away. We're going to frame it. We're going to display in the dining room. You should go to art school. So my mother's side has lots of artists, amateur artists. They can draw, they can paint, they can make some leather craft. So it was nothing special for me. So it took my husband to recognize the artist in me, and he insisted that I go to art school and cultivate and nurture the artistic talent. So sometimes you may have to ask around your family or friends, like, what do you think I'm good at? Because if it's your own nature, you may not know that. So first, what you love to do and what you're good at, ask your friends or family, and then with something that the world needs, and then you can make a living. So you do the little, set aside some time and do that. But most of all, does that give you joy? What give you joy? So joy be your guide. So whatever that feels good, go towards that direction. So, get away from the something that pull you down. People, the same thing. People who lift you up, go with the person. They hang out with those people and get a coach. And I have so many coaches, art, business, mindset, as I mentioned. So hang out with the people who would elevate you. And try to mirror after somebody, learn from somebody who are doing what you're doing. So, because people have accomplished something that you want to do already, or at least, part of the way. So instead of trying to invent the wheel from scratch, just learn from the experts. They can guide you, take you to the next step. And that's what I'm doing. I have probably like 20 coaches in my life so far. So, certain person take me to this area in finance, in the business, in the mindset, in art. So I just, and I'm so grateful for all those people. And that's another keyword, gratitude. So just appreciate everything you're doing.
Absolutely.
And, yeah. And sorry, I was going to mention earlier something about burnout. So burnout happens when you don't find joy in what you're doing. So, I spend about 70 hours a week in my gallery just because I want to do it. If I did it in my clinic the way it was with the computer work, 70 hours, it'll totally burn me out. But when you're enjoying what you're doing, if it's your Ikigai, if you find joy in doing it, I don't get burned out. It's just pure fun. I cannot get enough of painting time and interaction with my customers. So, burnout is not just working hard or working many hours. It's lack of joy, lack of alignment, with your value in your life.
Absolutely. So that is I really like what you said. Let joy be your guide as you're discovering yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So how can people connect with you? Where can they find your gallery?
Okay. My website is my name, edimatsumoto.com, EDIMATSUMOTO.com. Or you can look up Otter Therapy on Amazon by Edi Matsumoto. And my gallery is in downtown Carmel. It's on Mission Street. It's on Mission Street. And interestingly, Carmel is the only town in the United States that doesn't have physical address. So I cannot tell you, although it's supposed to be after 100 years of battle to have a physical address or not. Now we are about to have a physical address. So possibly it's 539 Mission Street, but it's not confirmed yet. But anyway, I'm on Mission Street and 5th in Carmel, downtown, Carmel by the Sea on Central California, about 2 hours south of San Francisco. It's a beautiful town, lots of galleries, so you can have fun, but I'm the only one with Otter Therapy.
Well, Carmel is beautiful because when we had taken trip down from LA down to San Francisco on Highway 1, just every little town on the way. Beautiful. Well, thank you for joining us, Eddie. Enjoyed our conversation, and I'm sure your otters will keep on bringing joy to different people. And I'm sure, audience, you can go check it out and maybe get a print for your own house. So thank you. And thank you, wonderful audience. I do want to share, even if somebody may not let you know that they may believe in you, I want to let you know I believe in each and every one of you. And I know that you can have that life full of joy and humor with heart and love. As we started out talking about Mother Teresa, bring that love in your heart, and just by your presence, you'll be impacting others. So reach out to us. Let us know how we can serve and support you, because this show is for you and just for you. So do let us know, just like you always do. And just want to share, we love you and we believe in you. So take care of yourself. And Juan, thank you for your tech genius. Be well and take care until next time.
Thank you for being part of Beyond Confidence with your host, Divya Parekh. We hope you have learned more about how to start living the life you want. Each week on Beyond Confidence, you hear stories of real people who have experienced growth by overcoming their fears and building meaningful relationships. During Beyond Confidence, Divya Parekh shares what happened to her when she stepped out of her comfort zone to work directly with people across the globe. She not only coaches people how to form heart connections, but also transform relationships to mutually beneficial partnerships as they strive to live the life they want. If you are ready to live the life you want and leverage your strengths, learn more at www.divyaparekh.com. And you can connect with Divya at contact@divyaparekh.com. We look forward to you joining us next week.